So welcome back to What's the Sweet. This is episode 3. I'm your host, Jonathan, aka J12 Bolo. With me today, we've got Vando, aka Marvin Jones Jr., as well as Jonathan, aka J12 Bolo Pending. And lastly, we got Shiffer, aka Young Shiff. How are you lot today?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Thank you.
New accessories every time, so new drip. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we can't be saying that when you got the same drip as Shiffer here.
Huh?
Nah, it's the hat, isn't it?
All right, so today's episode is all about the potential of women and where you think women can get to. So this week has been historical in terms of football for women. So I can't remember what week it is in college football, but college football had their first kicker, first player to come on in a Power 5 game, which for anyone who doesn't know, Power 5 is like the equivalent of Premier League in college. So it's like the top level, as well as they also had the first ever positional coach that was a female with the Browns this week go on in the NFL. So with that happening just all in 1 week, so that's week 12 for NFL, where do you think women can go with in terms of the sport?
Depends on if people want to watch it. Because if there isn't like to watch it, then it's not gonna go far.
So you're saying it's like similar problem to what you get with female soccer?
Yeah.
But why do you think there won't be like an audience for it?
Oh, that's the word, yeah. I don't know, because for some reason, just from the beginning of sport, there's always been more interest in men playing, and that could be to do with the aggression level that's brought to the table when men are playing compared to the women. When you watch the game, like men do tend to be more aggressive in the sport, and for some people that does bring a thrill when they're watching it.
Do you think saying that that's in a sport that's based on contact, do you think that will bring more?
What was the question?
In a sport that's mainly contact, do you think that would be a bigger thing?
Yeah, because the point of contact is basically direct aggression. There's no other way to put it.
So what do you other two think?
I think it will be different for women to play with men as it would be to have like separate women. Like if he like she, because the girl started as a kicker on the Power 5, yeah. So like she'll be a woman and but she'll be on like a man's team. But then like if it was just, then she would still have like audience to watch her. But if it was just like a women's game, I don't think they would get as much attention as it would have.
So what about you, Vanessa?
I feel like even though it's not like as easy said than done, I feel like for example, a woman shouldn't have to play with men to get recognition, if that makes sense. Like for example, that female kicker, like she went to play with the boys in order to like get the recognition she got. But I feel like she shouldn't have to play with boys to like get that attention, like that recognition.
So speaking of, so just so everyone knows, her name is Sarah Fuller, and she plays for Vanderbilt. She's actually on Vanderbilt's female soccer team and is a goalkeeper. So she already plays for a female team where they get recognized. Do you think they should just come out flat out with a female, a women's only football league in college?
Nah.
Why'd you say that?
I don't think like, because people just, as in women in general, they just bring them down either way. Like they don't think women are good enough to play a sport either way, even if it's maybe not as intense as the men's sport or like the men playing it. They will just put them down anyway. Even if women are better than some men playing a sport, they would just put them down anyway. So they wouldn't really watch it. So people would, I think people would take it as a joke more than more serious.
Would you say that even with a league, so somewhere for them to go into professionally?
Then then it'll be better, like for them to actually go somewhere. Because as we talked about before, like women are playing NFL to go where really? Because they don't really have like an ultimate goal somewhere. Because all the boys who playing college are ultimately going to the NFL, but women on the other hand is kind of different for them.
So women do have a semi-professional league called LFL, but a lot of the women, from what I've been told, don't get paid very much, or some don't even really get paid at all. Do you think women should see that as an option when they leave college?
I feel like, for example, instead of like you see how she's the first female ever to play in a college football game with boys. I feel like instead of like hyping up a woman, like I said before, for playing with boys, I feel like they should hype up their own league. For example, like they should make history, as in like making their own league for to play amongst themselves. Because I feel like if women are always following the shadow of the boys, I feel like the stereotype that like a female can be as good as a female team can't be as good as the male team. Like that stereotype will never end, and like it'll just keep on. It'll just be carried on forever.
So let's say the same Sarah Fuller was a fullback or a linebacker or something, and she started blowing people up, destroying everyone. She turned to like Julio Jones or I don't know, Darius Leonard. But then, do you think that would help blow up the name and give women more credit than if they went into their own league and started doing the same thing against other women?
I feel like it would draw attention for people to watch it. But then I feel like it would draw more attention to her than the actual woman playing it. Because they might be like, oh, she's a one-off. What's to say everyone else is like that?
Nah, I think it's also like to show. I think it's good for women because, you know, like they always say, if one done it, you can do it. Like if someone else done it, you can do it. So it gives more opportunity for women. Like if someone else done it, you can do it. So like, why can't other women do it as well? So I think now, because like as she became the first kicker, I think more opportunities are open up for women to like strive more in football college.
Funny you say that, because she gave us like an interview in an interview that she had afterwards. She was like, "Yeah, now I've done it. Now it's opened up doors for other women, so they can do it." But did any of you actually see the kick that she did?
I saw her picture.
I
didn't see
seen
the
it, but
clip.
it was
Like
kind
a
of.
little
I think they
short
shagged her.
kick.
I'm not gonna lie. They told her to do some like little squib kick, and that was it.
Oh
as
yeah,
far as
it
I'm
went
aware.
like 40, like it went to the
That's-
Yeah,
opposite 40
I'm pretty
yard
sure
line.
she did it on purpose, but that's what I'm saying. I think they shagged her. They didn't even like give her like a proper kick or like let her kick a field goal or something. It's something that was like inconsequential.
That's what my point is, because obviously like don't get me wrong, kicking it's like a very hard position. Like you have to train, you have to be able to kick, obviously. But like football, it's like a very like physical demanding sport. And if you only expect women to like kick, they're not getting like the full experience of the game, if that makes sense. 'Cause like they're just getting like a female. Obviously, she played soccer for Vanderbilt, so they're like, oh, she can kick. She can just come play kicker. So she's not really getting like the full experience of the game.
What do you lot think? Actually, wait. Before I say that question, now the question I asked you before, where there's like one lady who's like killing everyone else. Now, let's say you have 15 all across the country now doing the same thing in the men's game, killing everyone, like getting all the catches, all the tackles, all of this. What do you think that would do for the profile of women?
They should definitely have their own league then. Because if they can, like, obviously if they can do it against the boys, why not have their own league? Like, because I feel like right now, like the only way for women to get their recognition right now is when they play against boys, and I think that like that person, I don't think that's like right, because like you're only recognizing their game if it's against a boy.
Yeah.
Like that's what I don't agree with.
Are you saying that that because you don't think they're getting respected enough, or because of the basis of, in general, men are usually like bigger and stronger than females?
Well, yeah, like that's like an obvious fact that like some boys, most are like bigger and stronger than females. But I feel like if they only like praise a woman if she does well against like boys, and like when she plays against girls, like they don't really care, then like that defeats the whole point. Because like if you're trying to, for example, like promote women's sport, or like the title of this is like potential for women, like if you want that potential to like grow and increase, then you have to like promote their league and like actually praise them for doing well in their league, not only when they play against men.
So
I
going
think-
back to sorry, go on.
I think like if you're talking about making a whole separate league for women, I think right now, I don't think it'll be the right time. I think more women should, as bad as this sounds, like get involved in men's sports, and then when they actually like start having a name for themselves, then like when like there's enough women to actually say, yeah, we actually want to do this and we should have a league for ourselves, then we should open up a league. You know what I mean?
So going back to the question I was going to ask before, obviously I said I think they personally shagged Sarah Fuller. If she had now kicked proper kickoffs and kicked maybe 2-3 field goals or something like that, do you think that would have been significant for her?
I feel like it would have had like it had significance now, but I feel like it would have had more significance.
I think she could have really showed off what she can do.
Yeah, I don't know if you know what the score was, but Vanderbilt are 0-8 in the season, and at the end of the game, the score was 41-0. So even if they did have the chance, we don't know if she would have been able to kick it. But her team's a bit of a shambles. But going away from that, the fact that she was playing was because I think she was like 4th or 5th string, and that loads of people had dropped out. Do you think that says a lot about how they value women in the league?
I mean, the way you said it, like, it shows a different point. If you're talking about the team is 0-8, they're losing 0-40, and like she's like a 5th, 4th string, then it really shows that she wasn't really like in their minds for her to be played.
And I feel like also because she's a
It wasn't
goalkeeper.
like their priority to let her play. Like I think they just slapped her in there to just slap her in there. Like they didn't really care.
What were you saying, Shafar?
They were probably we're getting below now, anyways. Just go in the game. I'm just being honest. I think that's how they thought.
Yeah. What he said.
Go on, young Shiv.
I feel like because she was.
Do you take a breather?
Oh gosh.
I feel like because she was a goalkeeper, and obviously like most goalkeepers can kick. I feel like because they had so many people drop out, it was like, oh yeah, she's on the women's like soccer team. She can kick. We might as well just use her, type of thing. Because it's like it's literally like subs. If you don't have enough subs, you're gonna try find someone who's athletic enough to play the position that you need. And that applies in any sport. Like if you was going on a school trip, for example, and you needed a player who's athletic, Jonathan, don't look at me, and you needed a player who was athletic. Like if let's say if you was going on a basketball tournament and you didn't have enough players, you're gonna try to find the most athletic person, aren't you? Like
So not J12 Bolo Pendant.
He's blushing. He's blushing.
I'm trying to
All
say
right.
it's across the board.
Yeah. So that was about Sarah Fuller and
I get
playing.
what you mean.
But this year they were meant to bring out the WFLA, where women were meant to get their own professional proper league and so on. Do you think
I feel like there is another league. So
there is LFL?
Huh?
LFL.
That's a joke.
There's
Yeah,
that
but that's
one
a
that
joke
they
league,
play.
that's what I said.
They play in bikinis.
Yeah.
That
But
is like
We're going to talk about WFLA. With that's going to be a women's only league. Do you think that's going to be popular?
I think people would look at it.
That sounds like a no.
Nah,
I agree with him.
but because it's women, it's like people wouldn't. I think people are childish. Like they're not gonna look at women. Like it's like the WNBA. Like people will notice it, but like they're not gonna be like, oh yeah.
And people just make memes about it.
Like they wouldn't go. I don't think they would go out their way to watch the WLFA.
WFLA.
But then I feel like if they were to like promote the league, right? And obviously like you have to have good players, obviously. And if they were to have good players and like they were to actually like promote the league and get its name out there, I feel like people would watch it.
But I feel like it's also about setting a standard of what level is good and what level is satisfactory as well.
So how would they do that?
The only argument I have is, for example, I don't think you should have like an NFL game and then what's the league called?
WFLA.
WFLA. Yeah, I don't think they should have a game from both of those leagues running at the same time, because like no doubt people will watch more.
So
NFL
similar to what they did with the
so it would be like bad business.
XFL on Saturdays.
Yeah, something like that. Just like something different.
Like maybe when the NFL is not on, you would watch the women's NFL, because like to be honest, yeah, I even seen stats like people watch like 11 million people watch the NFL, just a regular game, than like game 6 of the NBA finals.
Literally.
So going back to Shifa's point about
I found the
standard.
other football league, the Women's National Football Conference. But I don't. There's apparently 20 teams in it.
That might be the one I'm talking about. That I meant
Never
to.
heard of it.
But there's also the WFLA. Like the WFLA was meant to start this year, and it was like Charles like going on for it as well.
Cool. So going back to your point, Shifa, how do you think they should be able to set a standard for what the football is?
So there's like players like I mentioned her name a couple of times. Tony Harris and I can't pronounce this lady's name. It's like Santia.
Santia Deck. Yeah, she's a baller still.
Yeah, like I feel like if they set that as the boundary and you need to be able to play at their level above or like slightly below, like if they was the role models in a sense, then it would set a good standard of
Santia Deck is basically like the poster child for WFLA. Like she's done stuff with NFL. I've seen a highlight tape. Like she's serious out there. So do you think doing like a combine for women that would help show like the level that the women are at and how close or even better they may be than men?
I can't lie. I feel like some women only join the league as like, you see how like there's Sunday league football and then like the people that just want to have a kickabout but they don't actually want to take it professionally. I feel like some women might join the league with the hopes of not taking it professionally and just wanting to stay active.
Yeah, but as it's a professional sport, especially like in the XFL and stuff, you can just get cut. They're bringing someone else, like you said, who's just as athletic, just from maybe down the road. Similar things that you'll get in all these other sports.
You see the thing that we were talking about standards. I feel like if you stop like comparing females to males and actually like set a standard for females like among themselves, I feel like that would be better, because like if you keep comparing females to males, like you're not really gonna have a standard of how a female should perform against females, only how they should perform against males.
That's a good point. So going away from females playing the sport, what about we're going to talk about females coaching the sport? So like I said, the Browns had their tight end coach, who was the first woman to take over a positional coach, Kelly Brownson. Where do you think women stand in terms of coaching professionally?
I think a woman can coach just as good as a male.
Yeah, I think coaching is
I feel like gender doesn't really matter about coaching. Like if you know what you're talking about. If obviously like you're helping the team, like you know what you're doing. Like I don't think gender really makes a big difference.
And I think like if you're not gonna respect a female coach because she's a female, I think that's just you being childish. Like it's a coach at the end of the day. Like they both know they're coached for a reason, so they know what they're talking about.
So when I had my interview with Phoebe Schechter, who you know, she went out to do coaching at Buffalo Bills. and she said it was a bit hard for them to obviously like. Well, I don't know. I can't remember exactly what she said, but like maybe relate or respect us and so on. But the way that these guys started to like, give her props and all that kind of stuff was when one of the other coaches played her highlight tape where she was blowing up other players and so on. Because she both played in the men's league and the females league. So do you think that kind of thing may have to like be shown to players before they get taken seriously?
I feel like it shouldn't have to be like that, but I feel like it is like that. Like they shouldn't have to, like, for example.
I understand like why they would do that. No, because obviously, like if you, for example, like if somebody's telling you like, oh, you have to do this, this, and this, your first instinct is like, oh, he must be teaching me this because he's done it before and like has the experience and everything. But like obviously, not that many females play football. So I guess the players are probably thinking like, "Oh, you're telling me to do this, but like you've never done it yourself." If that makes sense.
So are you saying it'll be easier for female coaches to get in through playing football and then take it on from there?
Yeah.
Yeah, because for example, like if you have a male coach, you're not gonna really think like, oh, he's never played football before. But like if you have a female coach, since the sport isn't like not that many females compared to males play the sport, like you might think like, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Like that's how some people might think, because like the minority of females that actually play football.
So I've actually had a coach who started off coaching without ever playing, and he only played a few years later after coaching just to see what it's like in the eyes of footballers. I said that helped that changed his perspective. But you don't, even if you're male, you don't have to necessarily play before you actually coach. Same. So I don't.
Yeah,
I personally don't see
I'm
why you
just
have to do the
saying,
same
like,
for
for
female.
example, you see how your coach has never played before in his life.
Mm.
I feel like if you went to a team and like you were a male coach, just you being a male would like make people not listen to you more, but like kind of like they would just think, since it's mainly like a male dominant sport, I feel like people would like listen to the male more. But like gender doesn't really matter, because like we said, like a coach is a coach, like they know what they're talking about. But I just feel like I feel like people would respect a male more and think like, oh, he knows what he's talking about, than like a female.
Yeah, I think like it's
They
kind
might
of
think
similar.
like, oh, she doesn't know what she's saying.
I think it's kind of similar because like let's say you would know a coach for like you would just meet him, and like you wouldn't really know about him. Like you would say, oh, maybe he played, maybe he didn't. And then like after you've actually trained with him and see his attitude to like coaching you, that's when you would decide like if you really respect him and do you actually like him. Because some coaches, like even if they're male or female, you might not like them because of their attitude towards you, or like how they coach you. Maybe their coaching is not that good, or your standards. So I don't think coaching really has much to do with gender as much. I think it's more of a coaching skill.
So if you had a female coach who could lock off every receiver in the team, do you think that same team will respect the coach the same as before they knew she could do that, or different after she could do it?
Well, I think it goes both ways, because let's say you would look at a coach, yeah, let's say I was a coach, and you would just look at me and be like, oh, this is just a regular coach. But then you would see me looking up all the receivers, and you'd be like, oh, wow, that's a good coach. Like, I think it goes for both genders, like.
Why did you say it like that? I'm sorry.
It's like,
Oh,
for
wow.
example, nah, think about it. It's like if you have a wide receiver coach, for example, right? You have a normal coach, like maybe he didn't go to the league, but he still played. Like he still knows what he's talking about. He's still a good coach. But then, for example, if you was to have like Randy Moss coach you, even though the coach that didn't play pro obviously isn't a Hall of Famer, he's a better coach. But I feel like because of Randy Moss's pro career, like your mind just automatically thinks like, I'm being coached by Randy Moss. Like he's gonna turn me to an amazing receiver.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. So saying all of these things that disadvantaged for women, how hard do you think it is for them to even like want to go into the sport?
I think it's really hard because, like I said, it's mainly like men that play the sport. So I feel like for a woman, it takes like a lot of like courage to be like, okay, like this is what I want to do. This is what I want to play. Like I want to learn the game. So I think it's hard because they have to face a lot of like criticism and like judgment, and they always get compared to boys. So I think it's hard, and I respect every female that plays the game. So I think it's like a hard step to take.
So taking that into consideration with Callie Brownson, who was the tight end coach for the Browns, do you think that the win that they got against, who was it again? I can't remember. The win, so they won. It was against Jags. That's who it was. The win that they got against Jaguars helped release some of the pressure off of her.
Wait, I don't know if I'm mistaken, but I'm pretty sure a tight end got a touchdown in that game. I'm pretty sure Austin Hooper scored.
Yeah,
I
the
don't
tight end
know.
got a
It might have been
touchdown, and
previous
they
game.
did pretty well. Same game.
Yeah, Austin Hooper scored, didn't he? Yeah. Yeah, so I think
yes,
that
that's
like
saying
considering that you
taking
just got
taking all of that
a
in.
female coach at that position, and
Yeah,
that
so that's
position
what I'm
just
saying.
happens to get a
Take that
touchdown
all in.
on that game. So I think it's like, yeah, it was a lot of weight off his shoulder. Wait, you keep lagging. I can't tell if you're talking because you're talking to go like stop.
All right.
My bad if I interrupted you.
So for the other two, what do you think that does for not the pressure off her confidence now in coaching?
Yeah, I think it builds up.
Yeah.
Go on.
It'll build up because you see her have like a successful day, The tight end. Wait, what's going on? I'm so puzzled. Like,
it's because you interrupt everyone.
So that's what I was saying. Like, you see her coaching, and you see how successful like the game went, and obviously the position that she coaches actually got a touchdown. Like for other females, like if they want to be coaches that really boost their confidence because they think like, oh, she's done a great job. One of the players that she coaches scored, so if she can do it, so can I.
Yeah, and I think more female I think you just see more females in sport in general. Like in the NBA, you see more female refs. In the NFL, more female refs. I think more females are getting involved, like in whatever they can get involved in, like coaching. I think it was a really good like step, a big step for women in coaching, and like they were doing well as well. So yeah.
That's great segue into my next point. So Shifa, do you ever get like any backlash or like from other girls when you say you play American football?
Oh, they always ask if I play rugby, number one. And then for some reason they always assume that it's to be around boys because it's a male-dominated sport. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, girls assume that I play like sports in general, not even just like football. They assume that I do sports to be around boys, and I've had that since primary school. So I feel like with women in general, there's also this I can't say this word, toxicity. As well as toxicity, of like it actually falls into this. It's like negativity because they don't have the confidence to do what you're doing, so they try to find other things. And I feel like it's just not being able to support each other and what each other likes doing, and the lack of confidence within yourself.
Okay, so this takes me into my next point. So, how would you say is the best way to introduce females into the sport, especially since a lot of them may say it's only for boys, or I don't do sports, or whatever other excuse they let me say?
I feel like with American football, like more representation, But then when it's just representation in general, like you could consider like soccer, for example, there's more representation, but there are still certain girls who are like, I don't want to play that, it's a boys' sport. Like, I feel like it literally falls down to the individual and the society we live in. It's more about changing the image of sport in general. And like, but that's difficult because obviously it's been set in a certain way for so long.
I think that people need to be more supportive. Like she said, like I don't think people are as supportive because they think like you can't do it because I don't know, maybe it hasn't done before. It's not as popular as it is to do something. I don't think people want to change. Like, I wouldn't think that there will be women playing that the same sport as me and be actually good at the sport. I'm not bringing down women, but so I'm saying that in general. Like, I don't think people would think like, oh, there's a girl. Like if I told them that there's girls on my team, they'd be like, there's girls in my team. Like, they would must think because there's girls on my team must be bad. Just because there's girls on my team.
All right, so this is going to be the last question for today.
Yeah, I feel like they might not take it that serious. Oh, sorry.
How long do you think it would take before, let's say, there's a starting female in the NFL, or there's a woman in the coaching office who is got a positional role, or is like an OCDC or head coach?
I feel like coaching will happen before a female player, like in starter. I feel like coaching will happen before, because like there's not, it's like there's not really a pathway for females to get into the NFL. Like there's not, I can't see like a pathway. Like for example, like men, they play college football, they get drafted, and then they play in the NFL. But like females, there's not really a pathway or like an opportunity that I could get. Like you wouldn't just be like there's a trial for NFLs only for females. Like they don't really have like a pathway or just like any opportunities to get into it. Whereas coaching, like you've seen it, there's already a few, like even though they're not like OC, DC or like head coach, you can still see that they have roles in the coaching. So I feel like they could step it up and like get better high positions. So I feel like coaching, like a major role like that would happen before.
So how many years do you think that would take?
I'm saying that recently. Not recently, but like
I wouldn't say something crazy like 10 years, but then I wouldn't say something crazy like next year. So maybe like 3 to 5 years.
Nah, I'll say 10 to 7 years. So like proper like
10 to 7 years.
Nah, okay, 5 to 10 years.
10 years.
You mean 7 to 10 years?
No. Yeah. 7 to 10. Yeah, same thing.
All right, so what do you think, Shifa?
Like good.
I feel like it will take a while, and I do think coaching will happen before actual like women in the NFL. And I feel like there might not even be women in the NFL. I feel like by the time it gets to the stage of women being in the NFL, we might have already like had our own league by then. So women would have just converted to the league if it's as successful as women want it to be.
Most likely what will happen is the NFL still reign as like top dog, just like it does with CFL and so on. So again, how many years do you think it take for women to get like a main role in coaching in the NFL then?
As much as I want to say as soon as possible, I feel like 5 to 7 years.
That's not like that long, but hopefully we get to see someone in one of those major roles. We're going to end it here. Thank you again to my guests. I've been J12 Bolo. With me, it's been Marvin Jones Jr. J12 Bolo, Bolo Pending, and Young Shift. We'll see you in the next episode.